Hi again guys, and welcome to another installment of Beards and Cars, and this is kind of the first episode to actually involve the beard aspect of the title, because ever since the start of this series, some of you guys were saying, could we get like a face cam or be on cam rather than just games? So this is that episode. We'll probably do live action episodes again somewhere down the line, but I wanted to use this particular episode to incorporate a couple of things which I meant to do videos for, but just never got around to. A while back, of course, I did a couple of game collection update videos. The first one was very long, it's like a 40-minute video. And then basically every week I check out the used game shops, pick up new games and DVDs on the cheap. Most of them I don't play, but some of them are for the collection aspect of things. Others are ones which I plan to maybe review or do playthroughs for. And some are ones which I genuinely want to play again, like older Gran Turismo games, but I've already had those for a while, and stuff like that. Maybe games that I played as a kid, so they got that retro nostalgia to them. So I wanted to use this particular episode to basically run through the games, or the majority of the games, and things that I've picked up since that last update video, and also to run through some games which I've been picking up not for myself, but for you guys. And one of the other things which I wanted to feature in this video is what I mentioned in the last on-cam video that I did about these model cars which I've been picking up. I mentioned quite a while back that I was into collecting model cars, but just never really got around to it. Some of the ones which I like are really expensive, so I tend to not buy those. I tried to pick up, for instance, a model car of the Maserati MC12, but you're looking at like 250 quid. And I ain't paying 250 quid for a toy car. So I'm also going to run through the ones which I've picked up. Some of them are very nostalgic to Gran Turismo's past. There's like 3 or 4 of these cars at least, which are from Gran Turismo 2, which have never been featured on Gran Turismo since. I know some of you guys spotted those in the last video, like the Ford GT90. So we'll run through those as well. So first up, we've got the Hummer H1. This is the first model car that I actually bought in this new collection of them that I'm building up. Kind of a small collection. I don't plan to buy tons and tons of them, partially because the price adds up real fast. It's, I believe, 1/24 scale, I think it is, same as all the others. That's the kind of size car that I like. And like I said, this is the one that I bought first. It's got several points of articulation. The doors, the bonnet opens, the bonnet pins even work, the bull bars. The trunk doesn't open, funnily enough. You probably expect it to. I'm not going to open all the doors and everything on these because it's just too fiddly holding the camera at the same time. That one really attracts dust though, I've got to say. I don't know if it's something about the red paint, but it really does attract dust. Next up we got the Porsche RS Spider. I really love the paint scheme on this one. It's actually the same paint scheme or the same livery as the channel. It's the HSG colours, red, white and black. And yeah, I like this one. It's got no points of articulation. The wheels don't, or the steering doesn't work. The wheels do rotate. It's a pretty simple layout, but yeah, I like it. It was surprisingly affordable compared to the others. Some of them I bought used. This was a new one. So yeah, it's just a nice car to have. Next up we've got the Lotus Elise GT1. I have to say this is easily my favourite of all the model cars I've bought so far. It's so nostalgic from Gran Turismo 2. The detail on it is really nice with the matte metal finish with the gloss as well. Nothing opens on it, unfortunately. The doors, the engine bay, none of that works. This was a used one, but as you can see, in pretty good condition for a used model. Back end looks nice as well. Massive diffuser on this thing. But yeah, like I said, really happy with that one. I love that design, and the fact that it's yellow helps. Then we got another nostalgic one, very nostalgic one from Gran Turismo 2. The Ford GT90 concept. One of the quickest cars on Gran Turismo 2. Door articulation on this one, the rear window opens as well, but it's a bit of a pain in the backside to open, and the wing actually does move a little bit as well, which is pretty cool. Looks good from the back, as it always has. Cool design. I love the triangular exhaust on the GT90. And the blue interior, which, again, I love cars with the blue interior, but you don't see that many to have that. I also love the Volkswagen W12 concept, not the Nardo, but the coupe, the yellow one. For the same reason, it's got that blue interior, looks fantastic in my opinion. So yeah, that's a pretty nostalgic one as well. Next up, we've got another very, very nostalgic car, again, featured on Gran Turismo 2. Of course, the The original TVR Speed 12 concept, also called the 712. It's not in amazing condition, because I did buy it used. The wing mirrors are gone, for instance, but that doesn't really bother me. I kind of like it being not in quite perfect condition, because I haven't bought any of these as an investment anyway. The engine bay detail's quite nice on this one. You can see that mighty engine. But yeah, it's just a nice design. It's not the racing version, obviously. It's just the normal concept. But it's just a nice car. It's a Hot Wheels one, interestingly. I don't know if Hot Wheels still make cars of this size, but it'd be cool if they did. Then next up, another nostalgic car for Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 4, it was introduced on, of course, the Cadillac CN. Also introduced on Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. I think it was the remix, though, not the normal version. Pretty sweet looking car. It kind of divides opinions. Some people love the CN, I personally do. Some people think it's ugly. I've heard many people actually say that they think it's ugly on Gran Turismo 6. I don't understand that. I do not understand that at all. Personally, I think it's a great looking car, and many people don't realise that in real life, the CN concept is actually a Targa. You can take the roof off, which is pretty cool, kind of like the Maserati MC12, also a Targa. It's got the nice scissor doors. The back engine bay opens as well. Like with the GT90, it's a pain in the backside, so I won't do that. This one, unfortunately, was damaged. It was a used one. It was the only one I could find for sale, which is why I put up with the damage. But the door, unfortunately, was badly glued, and it was still sold as new, which it clearly isn't. So that was a pain in the backside. Got my money back for that and kept the car. So not a bad deal. Would have been nicer if it wasn't broken, though, of course. But yeah, I'm happy with it overall. Next up, we've got the only classic model which I have at the moment. This is probably my second favourite to the Lotus GT1. I love the Shelby Daytona Cobra. Also, of course, featured on Gran Turismo 2. Then, not on GT3, not on GT4. I can't remember if it was on GT5 or not. I don't think it was, but maybe it was. Definitely on GT6, of course. And one of the best handling classics in the game on there. I love this one. It's got a real nice weight to it. And this is not a Hot Wheels, it's not a Maisto or a Barago. It's made by Shelby. It's a Shelby collectible, which is pretty nice. It did come with a plinth, but due to space on the windowsill, I prefer to have them on their own. Nice opening hood with real nice engine detail as well, even rubber fitments. Doors open also, as you'd hope. But yeah, just a really nice model car overall. Always love the back end of the Shelby Daytona. And the rear window does also open. So yeah, nice detail on that one. Real nice detail. Then next up, we've got a car which has never been featured on Gran Turismo. It has been featured, if I remember correctly, on the Le Mans 24-hour game. On, I think it was the PS2. There was a version on the PS1 as well, but I don't know if it featured the car. The Audi R8R. This is basically the Le Mans prototype that Audi used to race before they started to win in like 1999, I think it was. Of course, the BMW V12 LMR won that year. But they made two versions, basically. There's the R8R, or Roadster, and there's the R8C, which is the closed top, which has a really nice big closed canopy and a really big swooping front end. I'm going to try and find that one as well to have both. But yeah, it's just a nice looking car. Personally, I think this car looks better than the newer R8s. And I prefer the closed top version even more. But yeah, not successful, but pretty nice to look at. And this one is the one which I've had for the longest. I actually bought this one years and years ago. It was much cheaper than the others, but still the same scale, which is nice. The Peugeot 907 concept. Basically the Peugeot answer to the Mercedes SLR McLaren. Really nice looking motor. I've always liked the look of this car. Very SLR McLaren-ish. Kind of Ferrari 599-ish as well. Like I said, I've had that one a lot longer, but it's still a nice piece to have in the collection. Great looking machine. Not surprised that they didn't make it production, but it's still a shame that they didn't. So yeah, that's all of the model cars that I've bought so far. I plan to get some more. I don't buy tons and tons of them for two reasons. One, I only like to get obscure cars. Stuff which I like from the past, like the nostalgic ones, the Elise, the TVR, the GT90. The kind of model cars, as you could just see, aren't necessarily the kind of model cars which people go to first. People tend to like collecting like Lambos, Ferraris, and I've got some of those too in a smaller scale, but I like the more obscure stuff. And the problem with the more obscure stuff is that they're either really rare to find or really expensive. So, not great. But when I do get the chance to find one, and it is a reasonable price, and all of those were a very reasonable price, far better than that MC12 at like 260 quid. But yeah. And as I alluded to early on in the video, of course, I've bought some new games, and we'll run through those in just a second. I usually have them all set apart, but because it's been so long since I last did it, I can't remember which ones I've already featured and which ones I haven't, so I'll just run through them and you'll know what's what. But before we get to those, I wanted to show you guys something which I've got probably for the 10k mark, and it is games, some films as well, but the films are more for my second channel, Sledgehammer Movies. Recently passed 1,000 subs on that channel as well, which is very cool, which means that combined I've got almost 9,000 subs now, which is pretty awesome. But for the 10k mark, that's 10k on this channel, not combined, I'm going to do a giveaway. Because if you do a giveaway every 1,000, it kind of loses its meaning. And when I released the GT Sport videos, we flew from like 5,000 to 7,000 very quickly. So at that point, we increased by like 1,300 subs in 1 month. So that would have been like 2 or 3 giveaways in 1 month. And I'm just not doing that. And on a slight side note, I'm in the process of trying to find out if I can get the channel at this point registered as a business. Because in effect it is. It's a very small one, of course, but the legitimate perks which you can get from that could help with stuff like giveaways. Because at the moment, obviously, I'm paying out of my own money to do giveaways. And when you see in a moment the stuff that I bought, it's a considerable amount of money to pay out, even in some cases for used stuff. But as a business, certain things I could get perks for to give away to you guys, such as not just games, but model cars as well. I would love to be able to, from a business point of view, get a hold of like a few, not millions and millions, I don't want to abuse the system, but get a few model cars, for instance, and give them away, like brand new ones. So that would be cool. But on the point of giveaways, that brings us to the games. So basically what I've started to do is to fill up these shoe boxes with games that I'm not planning to keep, but that I'm planning to give away. Like I said, at the 10k mark, initially I was filling up this larger one. Then I've started filling up this second one as well, and pretty soon I'm going to need to start filling up a third one also. I wasn't actually going to show you guys what the games were, but I figure, why not? So, some of the stuff in here is for the second channel, as I said, some movies, but it just gives you some idea of some of the stuff which we're going to give away. We've got, as I said, DVDs. I'm not sure when I'm going to do a DVD giveaway. That'll be on the other channel anyway. But as you can see, we've got PS1, we've got PS3, PS2. Not just racing stuff either. We've got Black Site, Batman, PS4. Yeah, a pretty good selection. Original Xbox, 360, some films again. So yeah, pretty decent selection. Some duplicates of some games like Gran Turismo 5s and stuff like that. Then we've got the second one as well, which I've started to fill. Again, some other copies like the original Gran Turismo to give away. So a pretty decent selection. Xbox, at least one Xbox One game. It says Dead Rising 3, but it's actually Dead Rising 4. They just didn't have the right sleeve for it. So yeah, pretty decent amount of games to give away. I don't think I'm going to, well, I'm not going to give them all away at the 10k mark, but I think what I might do, and it's subject to change obviously, but what I might do is I might feature the selection in the 10k lineup, but then have it so that whichever certain amount of people can win could then maybe pick like 1 or 2 or whatever out of the whole selection of games. So then it's kind of more tailored to those who do win. I may do something else, but you know, that sounds like a good idea as any, for the moment at least. As I said, I'm not going to give them all away, but in effect it will be kind of using them all, but not giving them all away. So kind of best of both worlds. It gives you guys the choice of the selection of what you want, but at the same time isn't going to get ridiculous as far as the cost of sending all of those games out. especially because I do plan for this one to be a worldwide giveaway. Obviously the last one was UK only because of the shipping costs. For this one I'm going to try and do it worldwide, and who knows, I mean, by that point, the 10k mark, if the channel, as I've said a number of times, if the channel continues growing at the current rate, even if the rate slows down, we're still going to hit 10k by the end of this year. If it stays as it is, it'll get there like in December, and if you had like another surge thanks to Gran Turismo Sport, stuff like that, it could happen even earlier. So it's a ways off yet, so who knows, by that point, as I said about the business side of things, I may be able to get help with stuff like that, because after all, sending out those giveaway items isn't a self-purchase, it's something which could be a legitimate expense, at least here in the UK. So we'll see how it goes. But all in all, that's it for the games which I've bought to do the giveaways for, and as I said, I do pick up new ones basically every time I go to these various game shops. So now let's cover the stuff which isn't for the giveaways. So as I mentioned, some of them are probably ones which I've featured before. I'm not sure if I've featured the games here before. Probably have. I know most of the newer ones are over here. So we've got Riddick, which I probably won't play, but it's kind of interesting. I might play it. Rally Sport, Reign of Fire. I've already got that one on the PS2, so I probably won't play it. I won't go through them all, but you can see the kind of new ones that we've got. Some of them I have had requests to do playthroughs for, like Manhunt, which is banned in some places. The Suffering, stuff like that. I had a comment in the last video as to whether or not the spider was real. As you can see, it is very much so a real spider. It's a bird eater. Came from the Philippines. It's yeah, it's nice. Some other PS1 games here, as you can see: Fade to Black, Alien, Half-Life. I've still never played any of the Half-Life games. Godfather. I buy quite a few PS1 games, but PS1s can sometimes get expensive. Got some here. As I said, Black Site, I'm giving away one copy of that, keeping another copy. Unfortunately, the last episode, not that many people will care, but the last episode of Black Site in the 5-part playthrough was one of the things that I lost with the other laptop breaking. So that's a shame. I might play through it again to have the last episode, but that is at least going to put that on hold for a little while. I've got the collection edition of Forza 3 and the collector's edition of Forza 2. A couple of other nice games. Race Driver, Tokka, had that one years ago. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure which ones I'd already covered and which ones I hadn't. So basically that's the bulk of them. And one final thing in the video is that I picked up a PlayStation 1 console to be able to do the Gran Turismo 2 stuff, which you can see here. And basically I had to pick up, it's a very convoluted way of doing it. I'm sure there are other ways of doing Gran Turismo 1 videos, but the way I'm doing it at least is I bought a PS1 console. I bought Gran Turismo, obviously I already had Gran Turismo 2, Gran Turismo 1 I bought a while back, but then I had to buy this cheat cartridge which goes into the back of the PS1. That cost as much as the PS1 console. And basically then I went on the net, looked up some cheat codes for GT2, put those into that thing, then that allowed me to access that on the game, get like 100 million credits, because I just don't have the time to play through Gran Turismo 1 and 2 again, but at the same time obviously I wanted to do the review videos for it, so I did that. Then I had to buy another little gadget, which is a USB to a PS1 memory card reader, put that into the PS3, and then that allowed me to have that cheat memory on the PS3, and then I can use the Hopage to capture the PS3 and then do reviews. And then I have to use another editing program, which one of you guys pointed out, to basically cut out the black bars around the game and to get that all in the right kind of, not aspect ratio, but the right kind of fitment to the screen. So yeah, pretty convoluted, but it gets the job done at the end of the day. And so yeah, that's about it. So ran through the games, ran through the giveaway games, and the model cars. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I don't think there was anything else that I needed to bring up. As of today, we're getting back into the schedule of things, so later on we'll have the GT Sport car review in GT Masters. Tomorrow, back on with the photo mode competition. Thankfully, I was worried that I was going to lose all of the photos in the master file for the photo mode competition. I didn't. So that was a really good thing, because downloading all of those from the emails again was going to be a real pain. So I'm glad that that didn't happen. So as of today, we're back in the normal schedule, back to reviews and everything next week, or as of today, as I said. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you guys next time. And as always, thanks for watching.